Now, as you guys are all obviously aware, Joe Biden is suffering from dementia. He forgets a lot of stuff and is also unable to finish thoughts and form coherent sentences and be able to communicate that with the people. So he was on an MSNBC interview with Brian Williams. I think this was yesterday. It was either today or yesterday. And he has a little bit of trouble. Let's go ahead and hear this out.
What is President Trump's level of culpability? What's his level of responsibility, say, toward the illness and fatalities we're witnessing every few minutes these days?
I put it slightly differently. What is his responsibility, and what if there wasn't, and allocating responsibility is, I'll let history do that.
What is President Trump?
As you can hear him, he's being completely incoherent and he's not able to speak at all and get out what he's saying. Another thing that's worrisome, and I don't know if this is typical, but he's reading off of notes. So it's really concerning that he's reading off of notes and can't even form a coherent sentence. But my question is, why is he reading off of notes in the first place? Is that a typical thing for people to do when they go on these appearances? Not to my knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never seen them do that. He looks literally down at his notes. So the fact that he needs notes to go on this appearance is one thing. That's horrible. But it's a whole nother level when you're talking about you have notes and you still can't form coherent sentences. And so he's heavily coached, right? Obviously. He's literally a corpse that they have to put makeup on to look like he's alive. So the idea that they wouldn't even discuss this question, right? This is a question he's got multiple times now, and it's really not a difficult one to answer. Trump obviously bears culpability for calling it a hoax and delaying the response, which could have saved really thousands of lives, potentially tens, hundreds of thousands of lives. And it's really embarrassing, but as you see there, now that's not the only one. We actually have another one here where it shows his dementia. Let's check this one out.
On January the 17th, I think, I wrote an article for one of the major press outlets saying that we had to begin to act now. We knew what was happening in China. We talked, guys like me, and I'm not the only one, others, talked about the need to employ the Defense Authorization Legislation Act to be able to move.
Yeah, on January. It's funny that he doesn't even remember which publication he wrote the piece for. He says one of the major publications. He didn't even know which one he actually wrote it for, which is really embarrassing. But he probably didn't even write it himself. But as you see there, and this is something he's been saying for a while now, it's kind of been his talking point, is, oh yeah, I talked about how, we need to use the Defense Production Act and all that, which is basically to mobilize industry to help in times of crisis, which is what we're in right now. We're in a time of crisis in which we're lacking ventilators and face masks. And so basically you have the power to basically compel companies to create goods that are necessary for the nation that is in crisis. And so he forgot. He says Defense Authorization Act. He meant to say Defense Production Act. And again, that's his dementia at play here. He's messing stuff up in these tiny interviews. If you just look at this, stop scene alone, look at his face. He doesn't look alive. Does this look like an alive person to you? Does this look like a person who's not dead and who's actually alive? Of course not. And so this keeps happening. What's really sad is it seems like Democratic voters don't care. Looks like they don't care. They don't seem to know. They don't seem to care. And it's pretty discomforting for me as a Democrat, a registered Democrat, for my party's voters to be so dumb that they're voting for this guy who doesn't look like he's alive and literally has severe dementia. Okay, very concerning to me. And not a good look for the party. Definitely not. But yeah, Joe Biden melting on MSNBC.